supremcourt.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. This afternoon, Supreme Court orders the suspension of Pandai parliamentary election rerun pending determination of all processes before the court. Also coming up, Otumfuo-led mediation committee on Boko conflict is set to submit its report to government later this afternoon. Ahead of the presentation, the Interior Ministry has renewed the curfew on Boko and its environs. And much later on the program, consumers of petroleum products expected to get some reprieve this Christmas as fuel prices are set to go down today. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Now, the Supreme Court has ordered the Electoral Commission to suspend all arrangements being made for the rerun of the Pandai elections pending a determination of all processes before the court. It follows an application filed by Matthew Nyendam seeking to quash the judgment of the Tamale High Court that annulled the Pandai constituency parliamentary election. The former MP contends that the High Court erred in assuming jurisdiction over the election petition filed by the National Democratic Congress candidate Daniel Insala Wakpal. In his application, Mr. Nyendam sought a judicial review to quash the High Court's judgment, along with all processes and proceedings arising from what he describes as an invalid petition. Let's go to my colleague Lord Edwasare, who is currently at the court premises, speaking to our sister station TV3.
NDC candidate, Mr. Insala Wakpal, indicating that at his residence at Pandai, they had been unable to serve the processes. Said all other means that they had tried, they have failed, and so they were in court to get an order for substituted service, in that they wanted an order for the lawyers to be able to serve him via WhatsApp, email, the notice board of the various courts. Now, even before that, we know that they were in court early on to, as it were, get an order from the Supreme Court to quash that Tamale High Court's decision, which ordered the Electoral Commissioner or the Electoral Commission to go ahead with the rerun of the Pandai elections, looking at all the 152 polling stations. When this was done, before they could move that motion, however, then they put before the court about their challenges of serving Mr. Insala Wakpal about the processes. Now, the bench asked for further details, asking that how could that be that they couldn't serve him? And then the issue of the Electoral Commission came in. This was very critical because when the case was called, and I'm going to track back a little here, there were no representations for the Electoral Commission. Their lawyer was present, but the Electoral Commission, none of the commissioners were present. The bench did not take kindly to this and condemned them without mentioning words, indicating that they are the electoral body in charge of the country's elections. If for anything at all, this is an exercise that they had been making preparations to go to the polls for the rerun of Pandai elections. So if anything at all, they should have been present to hear what the court says and any orders which may or may not affect it in the long run. But the lawyer for the Electoral Commission, led by Justin Amenduvo, he told the court that he hadn't told his clients, and that was the reason they were not in court. Now, back to the table. They were asking for the contact during the engagements about how the substitute service was supposed to be done. The contact for Insala Wakpal was being sought for, and again, the issue of the absence of the electoral commissioners became apparent because they indicated that if for anything at all, the petition that Wakpal had filed should have contained his email and contact. And there's a case that neither no electoral commissioner was in court to provide those details. But Gary Namakon put the number out there, and for them to cross-check if that number was valid enough, the Justice Amadu Tanko actually opted for them to try the number either on WhatsApp or, as it were, send money to the mobile number if it has been registered. So they actually tried that. They sent about 500 CDs, and then they got to know that, okay, this number was actually active. Now, after all that, the court then ordered for the substituted service, indicating that in light of that, the Electoral Commission should halt any preparations that it intends to do ahead of the Pandai rerun, and said that the substituted service should be done to the notice board of the High Court in Pandai, the email address of Insala Wakpao, his WhatsApp number, and all other details came in. We've been speaking to some of the minority members. They have been reacting to this decision by the Apex Court. Director of Elections, Evans Macon, also spoke to us regarding what this means for the elections by and large, Kemini.
Very well, let's take a listen to those quickly. Well, we'll bring those later. But I mean, and again, that's a question I would have come to you on. But even before we get there, let's talk about the presence of the opposing side too. Was there representation for Wakpal in court? What was the opposing arguments that were put out, if any at all? Well, it would appear we have...
And we'll bring you more from Lord Adu Asare, who is currently in court monitoring the decision of the Supreme Court to suspend the Pandai parliamentary election rerun until all legal processes have been seen through. Let's bring you some other news here. And the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II is set to present a comprehensive report on the Boko Peace roadmap to President John Mahama today. This marks a significant milestone in the efforts to resolve the long-standing Boko chieftaincy conflict. There's more in the following report.
The mediation process initiated by former President Adu and continued by President Mahama has involved extensive dialogue between the Kusasi and Mamprisi communities. Key aspects of the mediation process included dialogue sessions between representatives from both communities who met at the Menchia Palace with security personnel deployed to ensure order. On Monday, December 1, the Asantehene rounded off his mediation effort in the Boko chieftaincy crisis with a face-to-face meeting between the contending parties at the Menchia Palace, Jubilee Hall, Kumasi. The report will outline agreements reached, recommendations for next steps, and proposals for consolidating peace in the area. The Boko conflict has resulted in several deaths, displacement, and destruction of property since November 2021. The mediation efforts praised by the National Peace Council aims to bring lasting peace and stability to the region. The presentation of the report is expected to be a crucial step towards implementing a roadmap for peace in Boko.
And that was a news desk report. Very shortly, we'll bring you some analysis on this. Let's return to the Supreme Court and the Pandai issue. My colleague, Lord Adu Asare. Okay, we've lost him there. I will bring you more of what he's got to say later. Now, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, has expressed concern over universities introducing fee-paying admission systems for students who fail to meet standard entry requirements. The Director General of GTEC, Professor Abdullahi Jenapo, says the practice violates existing regulations and undermines the objectives of Ghana's higher education framework. He warned that GTEC will take action against any tertiary institution found engaging in such practices, emphasizing that the fee-paying system creates a barrier for students with weaker grades, depriving them of the opportunity to pursue tertiary education.
Letters being given to people at University of Ghana, where information studies, we have fee paying, archaeology, fee paying. In fact, I'm reliably informed that in some of the schools, medicine, to get into medicine is very, very difficult unless it's fee paying. It's becoming a trend, as I indicated. Historically, we've had fee paying being for distance and weekends and sandwich. These are for mainly people who are working, who have the means of affording such fee paying. And today, we've also said that, look, the GTEC policy, and I'm here to look at it, the policy gives a certain quota, a very small margin for people who want to pay fees. And as I indicated, there should be some reasoning behind it. When the policy is blanket, that those who get from 6 to 10, they shouldn't pay fees. And these are people, as I indicated, the people who get 6 to 10 are those from the southern privileged institutions. I'm not being sectional or regional bias, but I happen to have gone to Damangwe Secondary School. Damangwe Secondary School is very, very difficult by virtue of location to be able to get those grades. And the people who go there are children of very, very poor people. So if such a person, by no fault of his, is asked to come and pay fees because he or she didn't pass very well, then we think that there's a problem. Because if there's no space, the space should be such that it should accommodate only those who can fit. But if the space is created in a manner that if you pay, you fit in, then there's a problem.
So in summation, you want to have a conversation about fee pay. You want fee pay to be abolished?
No, we are not saying fee pay should be abolished. The policy as it stands now needs to be what? Needs to be executed by virtue of how it is. But we are seeing a creeping trend of gradually introducing fee paying, and if as the regulator, if as a regulator we don't come in and we don't care that, then we are going to have a problem. But as I said, we are not going to issue directive now. We are going to engage the various managers of the institutions to appreciate what is going on and how we can have what? We can have a solution to it. But in principle, we are against this whole mechanism of people who, quote unquote, do not pass well, have to pay fees. That would be double jeopardy, and I don't think it's right. Thank you so much.
What's the timeline for this conversation?
Oh, we are meeting them hopefully next week. We want to do it as quickly as possible because schools are already opening, and we don't want to delay. We want to do it within the 1 week. Thank you so much.
And he had Professor Abdullah Jinapo. He is actually the Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC. We return to our earlier story about the Otumfuo Asantehene, also to the second set to present a comprehensive report on the Boku Peace Roadmap to President John Mahama today. And also because the Minister for the Interior, on the advice of the National Security Council and by executive instrument, has renewed the curfew hours for Boku municipality and its environs in the Upper East region. The curfew starts from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. effective yesterday, Monday, the 15th of December 2025. There's also a total ban on all persons in the Boku municipality and its environs from carrying arms, ammunition, or any offensive weapons, and any persons found with any arms or ammunition will be arrested and prosecuted. The government calls on the chiefs, elders, opinion leaders, youth, and people of the area to exercise restraint in the face of the challenges confronting them, as well as to use non-violent means to channel their energies into ensuring peace. Let's speak to Richard Kumado, who is a security and fraud consultant. He joins us live on the phone. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, Beatrice.
If you can first tell us how significant today's presentation of a peace roadmap on the Boku conflict to President Mahama is.
Definitely it's important because of the long protracted nature of this conflict, and specifically and especially because of the excellent work Asantehene and the mediation team has done, and how far they have put themselves on the line to come to the conclusions that will be presented to President Mahama today. It is my hope and prayer that all the recommendations that will be made and all the responsibilities that will be assigned, we will all work and do our part of the responsibility as a shared responsibility so that peace will return back to Boku.
I mean, that's what you're hoping for, but there must be steps taken, right? What must the government and security agencies do immediately to ensure that this roadmap leads to the lasting peace everybody is expecting?
One of the first things to do is what they have done by making sure that curfew has been imposed. Curfews are short-term measures to ensure security management balance. And I wasn't surprised the curfew was released. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I also know that Brigadier General Wolanyo, who is leading the Ghana Armed Forces in Boko, has assured security assurances and has also assured that safety guarantees to be achieved within the perimeters of Boko and Bunduri. We don't know the actual details of the report, but I'm envisaging that whatever be the outcome, based on what Ashanti Hini said, that our brothers and sisters must learn to live among themselves peacefully, that becomes the summation of whatever will be done today in terms of the actual report. And to that extent, if we live peacefully among ourselves, we'll be fine.
Indeed, we'll be fine. Thank you very much, Mr. Richard Kumado, for speaking to us.
Thank you.
And Richard Kumado is a fraud and security consultant. The Ghana Police Service has interdicted 5 officers for act of misconduct involving the unauthorized use of police uniforms on social media. The officers are Sergeant Samuel Agbemanyale, General Corporal Isaac Pipre, Corporal Samuel Agbo, Corporal Charles Ojo, and Constable Elizabeth Koko. A press release issued by the Public Affairs Directorate at the police headquarters in Accra, dated the 16th of December 2025, that's today, said that the interdiction follows findings of various breaches linked to how the officers use official police attire online. The statement also said that the affected officers have been referred to the Police Professional Standards Bureau for further investigations and the application of appropriate disciplinary measures. The police service reiterated a commitment to professional conduct and warned personnel against actions that undermine the image and integrity of the service, particularly on social media platforms. Now, more than 100 members of the Ghana Mine Workers Union have picketed the premises of BCM Company Limited, demanding the payment of the end of contract benefits, which they say have been outstanding for 10 months. The leadership of the union describes the situation as an unfair labor practice and has issued an ultimatum to management. The union says BCM Mining Company has until Friday, December 19, 2025 to settle the outstanding payment or face further industrial action in the coming days. Addressing the media at the premises of BCM Ghana Limited in Accra, the General Secretary of the Ghana Mine Workers Union, Abdul Mumin Ghana, said the workers will not back down until their demands are met.
And so what we are saying is that this is an employment protection that we put into the collective agreement. And it is time BCM complies fully with that provision. To the extent that they fail to comply, we are going to have series of actions of this nature to, as a matter of agency, demand that they have full compliance of the agreement that we entered into with them. For the past 10 months, they haven't actually come out with any kind of updates to demonstrate to us their preparedness to settle this obligation. And so it is pretty clear that this is an employer that is deliberately trying to check its responsibility. And once the laws are clear, once the agreement that we entered into with them is very clear, what we are going to do is to demand and demand and demand and demand until they comply fully with the agreement.
And you had the members of the Ghana Mine Workers Union picketing today over the unpaid end of service benefits. Now, prices of petroleum products are expected to go down marginally at the pumps from today. The price of petrol will be reduced between 1 cedi 64 pesos and 3 cedis 89%, bringing the pump price per litre to about 12 cedis 90 pesos. Diesel is expected to decline by as much as 4.59%. We should see a litre selling at 13.20 pesos. Liquefied petroleum gas is also expected to drop by up to 2.16%, resulting in a kilogram selling at approximately 14 Ghana cedis. The expected reduction has been influenced mainly by declining prices of finished products, petroleum products on the international market. Petroleum petrol prices fell by 6.5%. Diesel dropped significantly by 11.67%, while LPG eased by 0.22%. The cedi, however, depreciated marginally from 11.14 to Ghana cedis to 11.43 Ghana cedis over the period. Let's engage the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, and Mr. Benjamin Isia is a policy analyst and researcher there. He joins us live on the phone. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon, Beatrice.
Now, fuel prices are, said to be going down by up to 4%. From your assessment, what consumers actually feel this reduction at the pumps, or could other cost factors wipe out this expected relief?
So, as indicated by you earlier, the market is very favorable to the petroleum end user, and also the marginal depreciation of the cedi against the dollar. So, we realize that because the prices of these products on the international market have realized between 6 to 11% decline, in weighting them, the impact in terms of price decline or export price decline locally towards the depreciation of the currency. So these are the basic factors. International market price has caused this decline in the second window of December. The other factor also has to do with efficiency in the petroleum downstream, especially among oil marketing companies. The marketing companies are becoming many, and if you are not very cost effective or price competitive, sales volumes are likely going to decline. And because marketers want to stay in business, they are developing new strategies or innovative ways of becoming very cost effective so that they can set competitive margins that will make their product very affordable. And that has also helped in transferring efficiency to most of these petroleum end users. So these are the basic reasons. I think taxes have been constant for some time now, and also levies are also constant for some time now. So if you continue to observe decline of prices on the international market, I think that Ghanaians will continue to have some positive impact, or Ghanaians will continue to observe some positive impact when it comes to petroleum prices locally.
Should consumers expect this marginal decline to continue?
Yes, I think that maybe in January, which is the first window of January, prices are likely going to decline further because I know that in the second week of December or third week of December, the cedi will begin to appreciate against the dollar, and the cedi see some appreciation against the dollar, and also price of these products even become stable or decline on the international market. Then the expectation is that in the first window of January, which is the 1st to 15th January 2026, prices will see another marginal drop.
At the end of the day, consumers would expect that the OMCs especially would ensure that they enjoy the benefits. How do they watch out for that?
That's why I indicated earlier that because of the competition in the industry, because of the market saturation, over 200 OMCs, so most of them are transferring these efficiency or cost effectiveness to their petroleum users. And any OMC that decides to keep prices above the industry average, I think will likely be kicked out of the market. So most of these OMCs are going to decrease their price. Already, if you look at the price, the market properly, OMCs like Star Oil, Zen Petroleum, Benab are selling their petrol around 11 Ghana cedis 59, and they are likely even going to decrease that further by close of day or tomorrow. So any OMC that decides to continue to sell petrol around 18 Ghana cedis or maybe 12 Ghana cedis, 80 pesos, will lose the market. And losing the market means that revenue expectations will decline, and your cost and expected profit is also going to decline. So I think that that is why now most of the so-called major marketers are also becoming price takers from the smaller OMCs. They don't set prices hitherto earlier years before 2024 and 2025. Normally, you realize that the big OMCs, as we call them, will set the price, and these smaller OMCs will follow. But today, it is not like that. if you set higher prices, you'll be kicked out. And if you are kicked out, in terms of falling back to earlier years of higher volumes, will not be the same. And being out of the market means that you are losing your retail outlets or filling stations, and you're also losing your revenue, and your profitability indicators also decline, which affects the ability to stay in business. So as you speak, most of the OMCs that are selling at lower prices, comparatively lower prices, are dominating the market. They are selling in larger volumes, even though they have fewer retail outlets. And I think others are also the major ones which spread across the country. Spread here means that they have almost retail outlets or filling stations in almost every part of the country, are also beginning to set competitive prices. And today, if you even observe the market before the next window begins, the maximum price for some of these major OMCs are around, for diesel is around 18 Ghana cedis, 22 pesos per liter, and their petrol also sell around 12 Ghana cedis, 59. By close of today or tomorrow, I think that they will decrease the price of their diesel to around 12 Ghana cedis, 80 pesos, because the other smaller OMCs, as we call them, are likely going to decrease their price of diesel to around 12 Ghana cedis, 50, or maybe 12 Ghana cedis per liter. So if you keep your prices higher, you'll be kicked out of the market. And I think OMCs must also learn from their colleague OMCs in terms of being very cost effective and adapting new way and innovative ways of ensuring that they are very efficient. And this efficiency must be passed on to the petroleum end user.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nsia, for speaking to us.
You're welcome.
And he had Benjamin Nsia. He is the policy analyst and researcher at the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Now, it's a crucial week in Parliament beginning today as members prepare for recess with a key duty to pass the appropriation bill for government spending in the 2026 fiscal year. Debate have ensued ever since the finance minister delivered the budget in the wake of controversies and unexpected disruptions that brought the House into another disrepute. There are bills for some flagship government policies set to be debated on the floor before the passage. Let's see how all this would shape up. Christian Yale is our man monitoring everything in the chambers for us. He joins us live on the line. Chris, today is exactly a week after those ugly scenes. Has the Speaker initiated any action yet?
No action yet, Beatrice, if you ask me. But then again, what has been the latest development from the court announcing a halt in all processes leading to the rerun, as was announced by the Electoral Commission for later this month, is one news that the minority MPs have received with great satisfaction, because then, over the period, their argument has been the case that it was a wrong move, and indeed, as they put it, a premature decision by the Clerk of Parliament to communicate to the Electoral Commission that there has been a vacancy at Pandai, which warranted in the later announcement by the Electoral Commission. And so for today, after that announcement by the Supreme Court asking the EC to halt the planned rerun, the minority side say they feel exonerated, because that is the argument that they've held, that all avenues to explore were not exhausted before that move by Parliament. But indeed, we still look forward to that anticipated commentary by the Speaker, because then he had indicated last week he would need some time to look at the report and what actually ensued before he took over the seat to understand the issues, and then he would deliver his verdict on it. And
Christian, if you can say this in like 30 seconds, what we should expect before recess. Our time is really up.
There are a number of bills today. In fact, we're talking about the legal education reform bill, as well as the 24-hour authority bill. There are other bills like the Bank of Ghana Amendment Bill and a host of others that have been programmed for today to be considered by the House. And also because the House is going to rise this Friday, it is anticipated that there will be some extended sittings to cater for the rest of the estimate for the ministries, departments, and agencies that have not been tackled yet. And then, once the appropriation is passed, then government would have the financial muscle to spend in 2026.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Christian Yale. And he's our man in Parliament. That's it for the midday news here on 3FM and 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us today. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Coming up shortly is Business Daily. Michael Ogbodu is standing by.